As you can already tell from the thumbnail, the most ridiculed and boring guy in the UFC. Belal, remember the name Muhammad. If you remember those "the most interesting man in the world" commercials, Belal would be the most boring man in the world. To put how boring both the UFC and fans think this guy is, let me tell you about UFC 300. Leon Edwards, the current welterweight champion, was offered 3 different opponents for UFC 300. Khamzat, Shavkat, and Islam Makhachev. One is a middleweight with visa issues, one arguably doesn't even deserve a title shot yet, and one is a lightweight. Credit to Leon for accepting the fights, but where is Belal? All 3 of these guys got offered the title shot against the welterweight champion. Meanwhile, Belal Muhammad, who is an actual welterweight and on a 9-fight unbeaten streak, never got a call. Oh, and did I mention, out of all these guys that Dana called, Muhammad is the only Muslim that fights during Ramadan. The other guys refuse to fight while fasting. Meanwhile, Belal has literally done it before. It's honestly crazy that all this went down. You can't sit there with a straight face and tell me that Belal doesn't deserve a title shot. I get it, he's dull, but we're talking a 9-fight win streak here. The last time this guy lost was over 5 years ago. And his resume has some big names on it too. He wasn't just beating tin cans. I'm talking Damian Maia, Wonderboy, Luque, Sean Brady, and Gilbert Dorito Burns. You can joke all you want, but that is an elite resume. Plus, Belal Muhammad straight up has a no contest with the current champ Leon Edwards. There could not be more of a case than for this guy to get the title shot. Him and Leon fought back in March of 2021, but the fight ended early via Leon eye-poking Belal. Yeah, with all that, Dana still went ahead and booked Alex Pereira versus Jamal Hill to main event the almighty UFC 300. You heard that right. Jamal Hill is the unbelievable and never before seen main event that Dana has been hyping up for the last couple of months. How the hell is that better than Belal versus Leon? Belal has got to be one of the most disliked fighters in the history of UFC, and I got a couple ideas as to why. One is his fighting style. He is wrestling heavy, which 80% of MMA fans despise. Out of his 9-fight win streak, 7 of those were decision wins. Belal's fights usually involve him out-grappling and smothering his opponents. He'll strike a little on the feet, but if he can take it to the ground, he will. This way of fighting is absolutely hated by most MMA fans. They think it's boring, and to their credit, I agree. It's much more exciting to see a dogfight or even technical striking battle on the feet. Even if there's high-level grappling and submissions going on, the average Joe won't enjoy it. They won't realize what's going on, even with Joe Rogan or DC trying to explain the transitions from a side control position to full mount. But that isn't the full story. We've seen grappling heavy guys make it to the top and are actually supported by the fans. Guys like Khabib, Islam, and Colby are all grappling heavy, but still put up big pay-per-views. I mean, hell, Colby got the most recent title shot with Leon, and that was after being a year and a half out the game. His last fights involved wins over a washed-up Masvidal and Woodley, and 2 losses to Usman. Yet he still got the title shot over Belal. Now, what sets these guys apart from Belal is the mic game. They just trash talk better. Don't get me wrong, the Dagestanis barely speak English, but they still have some decent one-liners here and there. They got the Russians behind them and the whole smash thing going on. Meanwhile, Colby is elite at playing the heel role. As for Belal, he wants to be somewhat of a heel, but fans don't buy it. He's like stuck between being a hero or villain. The people literally cannot decide if they like or don't like the guy. But I mean, come on guys, who can hate on those awesome sunglasses? Even when Belal tries to trash talk or spit some game on Twitter, people still make fun of him. His god-awful nickname of Remember the Name is just an ongoing gag at this point. You can't take the guy serious both inside and outside the octagon, which sucks for him because he's actually a good fighter. I know the lay on top and pray model is boring as fuck, but hey, if you can keep a guy down for 25 minutes and get the win, then that's his fault, not yours. At the end of the day, it is mixed martial arts after all. Belal has definitely earned a title shot and should be next in line, no doubt. I'm all for the Belal jokes, but it's going too far at this point. There needs to be a fine line way of earning a title shot. As of now, there's 3 ways of getting a title shot. One is plain and simple, you earn it. You beat the ranked fighters in your division until you make it to the top. Now, sometimes this can be 2 to 3 wins or it can be 7+. Depends how stacked the division is. If it's been cleaned out, it won't take as many wins to get a title shot. The second way of getting a title shot is pretty easy. Your name just has to be Conor McGregor. Surprise, surprise! The final way of getting a title shot is if you can sell a lot of pay-per-views. The UFC wants to generate as much money as possible, so if you're a big name that catches the people's attention, then you'll get boosted to a main event and get a title shot. Belal has taken the hard route and fought his way to the top. Only now, he's not even being given the title shot he's earned. The UFC is starting to forget what it's all about. Being a UFC champion means that you're the best in the world at mixed martial arts. You are the undisputed champion of your weight class. You've been the who's who in your division and are now the king. Nowadays, it feels like having the belt is somewhat of a gimmick, just a tool to sell more pay-per-views. If whatever his name is doesn't get a welterweight title shot next, it'll leave a bad look on the point of being a champion. I see the same thing happening to Ian Gary. After that whole wife-ex-husband debacle, anytime Ian fights or is at a press conference, it'll be brought up. Even if he turns heel, he'll still be made fun of, which I love the jokes, but that shouldn't affect whether or not he gets a title shot. If he wins the fights and beats the guys he's supposed to, then by all means, give him the damn title shot, even if he comes out with his wife's ex-husband cornering him.